Thanks, everyone. Thanks, Amar, for setting that up for me actually so well. Before I get to sharing a little bit about our work, I want to try taking you back to my very first week in district courts when I started as a young trial court lawyer. I just finished my legal education at Harvard Law School. I'd finished my clerkship on the Indian Supreme Court, and I reached the district courts very wide-eyed, very idealistic. I said cheesy things like, I want to defend people's rights and fight for justice, and realized that I was being incredibly naive. Because once I got to court, I realized that the courts look something like this. Nothing like what I had seen or heard in law school, but broken and dilapidated. There was paper everywhere. You could smell the paper in the air. That rotting smell of paper kind of lingers in the air. There were manual processes, clerical processes everywhere that were critical parts of the legal case supply chain that were holding things back. And it wasn't just the clerks, but also the judges and the legal officers were writing everything by hand painfully, which was slowing the whole process down. And I'll never forget, but one of my first weeks in court, I was asked to get a document from one of these files. And it took me back to maybe how my dad had libraries in college, and the individual clerk who was supposed to pull the file out got a ladder in live court and dragged it across the shelves trying to find my file, which took probably 20 minutes to get the right document out. And it became very evident very clearly to me that I had been misled in law school, because I thought justice was about a question of law. But it turned out that actually getting justice was a question of logistics. There were processes that were coming in the way of justice delivery, and suddenly that number that Emma talked about started making sense. That's why we have 50 million cases pending in courts, and that's why it's going to take us 300 years to clear this backlog. And let's not be fooled by these numbers as an efficiency, administrative pain point problem. There's profound human suffering at the back of these numbers. Families break, slip into poverty, pull their children out of school because they're stuck in litigation. And the worst problem, which I don't think gets highlighted enough, is that as a result of slow courts, India has one of the largest under-trial populations in the world. 70% of our prison population is not people serving a sentence because they're guilty or convicted. It's basically people waiting for their trials to end. We're in the bottom 10, and only countries like Syria, Yemen, and DRC with significantly lower state capacity give us company in that list. And you start slicing the data, and you realize that it's always the poorest, the most vulnerable, the most oppressed people who are stuck in these systems waiting for their day in court. And if you've ever been in the legal system, you would have heard this line that comes up again and again, that the process itself has become the punishment. God forbid that you end up in an Indian district court. Now, this is a complex, multidimensional, and frankly, overwhelming problem. But in all that chaos that I showed you, some pain points start emerging, which are very obvious binding constraints. The first is the acute shortage of skilled stenographers. Because you see, in a courtroom, nearly every word has to be written down. The oral arguments, the cross-examinations, the final orders and judgments, and we spend hours standing in court waiting for the typist to type it out. And that's in the big cities where if there is a typist. If you go outside the big cities, there are no stenographers, so judges write everything by hand. One judge told me my board exams never ended because I still write from 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. every day, recording depositions of the witnesses. Another judge told me that the problem is that I get transferred and the next judge has to come and read my handwriting and can't understand what I've written, so they send me WhatsApp images saying, hey, what have you written here? And then I say, I can't read my own handwriting, so they recall the witness to re-examine the witness. There's an excessive reliance on paperwork. Everything is written down. Everything depends on it being written down. In one court, and I was so surprised to see this, that this is happening in 2025, next to the main court complex, main judge's office, there's a department called the Fair Department. And the responsibility of that department is to rewrite the judge's handwriting in a neat, legible handwriting so that the judicial record can actually be read. Not type it out, rewrite it. The processes are fragmented and uncoordinated. There's no workflow. We're also used to workflows and Excel sheets and CRMs, nothing of the sort. There are notepads and diaries and ad hoc folders. And last and most painfully, litigants are left in the dark, especially their families. In my first week in court, I was very surprised why some of my clients' family members came to court because there was no need for them to be in court. And I told them, you're missing your daily wage, you don't have to be here. And they said, we don't know what's going on in the case. This is the only day I get to see my family member because they're being produced in court. So I've just come here to stand at the back to see that they're all right. Now, these are, as I said, overwhelming problems. But Adalat AI is trying to build a tech stack, an end-to-end justice tech stack that automates these unglamorous back-end pain points that not enough people talk about to expedite the supply of justice and provide timely justice for all. Our flagship product is our very own in-house AI-based speech-to-text transcription software that understands legal jargon, legal language, so that judges aren't the ones writing in court and can actually focus on their court tasks and responsibilities. And we're actually working with Karya to ensure that this is linguistically diverse so that the Karya's workers can help us annotate these data sets and ensure that there's more linguistic diversity for the witnesses and litigants who participate in court, ensuring nothing gets lost in transcription. We are building automated, customized workflows for the courtrooms that are integrated with APIs, like your CRM system, so that there's a dashboard where all their cases appear in live court with AI tools, with all the work already done beforehand, so that the judge only works on delivering justice. We're introducing LLM-based scanning technology so that the previous solutions were all prospective. They're going to ensure going forward things are digitized. So what about all that paperwork I showed you earlier so that now scanning can be done faster? So far we were trying OCR scanners, that was a hardware solution, procurement issues, nothing really came out of them. Now we can use AI to actually build legal scanning tools. And my favorite, we're building chatbots for litigants. So that as a litigant or a family member who doesn't know what's going on, you can chat in your language on WhatsApp and get an update about your case. Moreover, you can get the document relevant to your case, the last order, the last judgment, and then ask it to translate in your language because you don't know what's going on. And a step further, even ask it to re-explain it to you in simpler language because we lawyers are guilty of really complicating things unnecessarily. And that's not where we stop. We're already doing R&D to introduce summarization and document navigation tools so that the judges can navigate all that casework in live court effectively. And so the idea is to build a tech stack that, as I said, automates these clerical pain points with AI technology to expedite the supply chain of cases. And we're a young organization, started a year and a half ago, and found that we were filling a vacuum, and the system has given us a lot of warmth and enthusiasm. We're already in 15% of India's courtrooms across 8 states, and are on track to be in about half of India's courts by the end of the year. And our results are already showing promise. We are able to cut down average case resolution times by 30 to 50%, and doubling and sometimes tripling the judicial output that comes out of court every day or every week. And India is a subcontinent, so if it's possible in India, this should be possible in many other parts of the world, particularly because of our shared colonial legacy. I was in Ghana a few months ago, and I walked into a district court in Accra, and it was eerie how it felt like I was walking into Tisazari Court in New Delhi. We've all inherited the same legal processes, the same legal lingo, the same legal jargon, proving we can actually replicate this tech stack from India to the rest of the world, proving we could be a global solution for the global south. I'm getting prompts to wrap up quickly, so I'm going to quickly talk to you a little bit about our team. We are an interdisciplinary team because this is a multidimensional challenge. I'm a lawyer. I practiced in courts for over a decade before I gave up my legal robes to do this. I studied law at Harvard, development economics at Harvard, Oxford, and MIT, and I worked with the government, BCG, and the World Bank. My co-founder is a triple IT engineer with extensive AI and ML experience, having worked at some of the best startups, who's also given up his career to do this full-time and service the courts. And the big mission is to become the judiciary's AI and tech partner so that as and when technology is developed, without any lag or gestation, it's running in the local district court near you in India. When I was a lawyer in courts, getting a bail in one courtroom or arguing for civil rights in another courtroom felt like individualistic success, as it started feeling pointless. What was the point of getting that one bail or arguing for one case somewhere else? But now we're on the cusp of unleashing hundreds of thousands of bails and civil rights cases by converting words into justice using AI technology, and we really hope you'll join us. Thank you so much.